Good morning, fellow people. How do City break down that stubborn Arsenal defence? We'll know the answer in a few hours' time, I guess. Stephen here. I'm a bit late with this match preview, but I still wanted to get it out of the way and do it anyway, because I think we've got plenty to talk about ahead of this game. It's going to be fascinating. It could be absolutely grim. It could be a horrible watch. It could be boring, tedious. It could be a 0-0 or a scrappy 1-0 either way. But it is undeniably a massive game of football. Our biggest title rivals, 2 years they've gone head-to-head with Manchester City now. They've come up short, so they'll absolutely have lots of hunger to get ahead of City today, Arsenal. It's undeniable. But how will we react to it? That's what I can't wait to try and answer with you guys today. I'm looking forward to try and talk about all that and work out the predictions, the team, how do you break Arsenal's defence down, all that stuff. It should be a fascinating chat. Do let me know in the comments your predictions for this game. It'd be massively appreciated as we're live. Give the video a like as well if you don't mind. It'd be massively appreciated. I've also want to tell you about my watch along later. Now, you probably know I've been doing streams on Tifo. Well, not anymore because I still am, but Tifo have rebranded because they can't use the name Tifo, which doesn't probably surprise a lot of people. They're now called Big Up, as in like Big Up, mate. BigUp.com, basically. If you head over to BigUp.com, you'll find my watch along for later. So I'll show you the URL. Bring this down a little bit. There you go, Big Up. It's the beta. It's open now. There's no code for referral needed or anything like that. And there's a new tactics board I can mess around with during the stream as well. So join me on BigUp.com later on. No links, no registration codes needed or anything like that to watch the stream later. Obviously, register to join in anyway. Yeah, but BigUp.com is the new name for Tifo, which I'm thoroughly enjoying working with. Hopefully, it should be a little bit busy as well because there's no referral code or anything like that. So you guys can come and have a chat with me during the game. Let me know in the comments if you're coming to join me later for the watch along. I'll be live about 15 minutes before kickoff, and I can't wait for it. But yeah, the new name for Tifo is Big Up, which is cool. So big up, guys. Thanks for watching these videos, and join me for the watch along later on. It should be an awful lot of fun. I can't wait for it. So let's just talk about this game and what it means. It's undeniable that this game is going to be an absolutely massive one for Manchester City in the course of this season. Arsenal, of course, are our biggest challenges. And, look, I've had a lot of time to think this morning when I was watching my toddler run around, and he's kicking a ball around this morning as well, actually. And I actually had a bit of a brainwave, Ruben put the ball down in front of him. My son, Ruben, not Ruben Diaz. He kicked the ball, and he went right across the room, and he went, goal! And I thought, do you know what? Maybe he's onto something there. Maybe it is long-range shots today that we need. Maybe it's something like that. It's undeniable this is going to be a battle of heavyweights. And look, we're in a pretty good position. I did tweet out, I can't decide how today's going to go. And quite a few people replied to me with their predictions. And look, I thought a good idea would be to outline the potential scenarios which could happen here. Like, we could win today. That would put us 5 points clear ahead of Arsenal. That would be absolutely wonderful. It'd cement a brilliant start to the season. It'd be a hard-fought battle. Absolutely got no doubt about that whatsoever. And it'd be a massive sort of a boost going forward. It could also draw, which I wouldn't think would teach us much. I think people would probably try and lose their heads, but there's never any shame in drawing against Arsenal. They're hard to break down. Their defence is absolutely ridiculous. And if we draw, so be it. We could also lose. Now, a friend of mine actually replied to me on Twitter saying, and I get his point here, even though a loss would be very hard to take, if you want to go glass half full on this, you could argue that, our start to the season, the fact that Arsenal are 2 points behind us, if they win, they go 1 point clear of us. It's not exactly a big deal. And largely, City have reacted to negativity quite well and adversity quite well in the past. If anything, it's always been a difficult loss that's prompted a winning streak and a reaction from the players and usually got Guardiola going. So I don't think we can really technically lose today. We can lose, but I don't think it's going to be the end of the world stuff. It's so early on in the season. We've got a pretty decent points total already that the worst that can happen is we'd be 1 point behind Arsenal. And look, we've proven pretty adept at chasing Arsenal over the last few years. And we've proven pretty adept at reacting to adversity and bad results. So I'm not going to panic regardless of what happens today. I think we're in a pretty good condition. It probably does have draw written all over it, Michael, in the chat. It probably does. But I do feel, I'm reasonably relaxed about the outcome. I want City to win, of course. I wouldn't mind a draw. And I wouldn't be in pain over a defeat unless we got spanked. If we got battered, fair enough. But I do feel it's so early on that this game does not have the... I think the only way this game has massive impact on the season is if City win comfortably against Arsenal, then we're 5 points clear. That point, I think Arsenal's head drops, and that could be a big blow for the season. So you could argue that a chance to really smash them in the face right now would be really, really important. But I don't think much changes if they beat us. It might be a confidence boost, but I still think City are on there's no team you'd rather have behind you for a title race than Manchester City, because we chase aggressively, and no team reacts better to frustration than Manchester City. So I'm pretty relaxed about it. Look, I know that might sound very glass half full, but I do feel that's the sort of the fundamental situation that we're in. It isn't going to be the end of the world if we lose today. It'd be frustrating and painful, and it isn't going to be the end of the world if we don't score today and it's a 0-0 draw. It'd be boring to watch and people will kick off. But I know one thing about Manchester City Football Club is that we take a long time to get going. This is even 60% of what Manchester City are capable of so far. Give us a few months. Give us around winter time when we get going properly, and that's your real Manchester City Football Club. As long as we're there or thereabouts, as Guardiola would say, we will be there. Then that's all that matters to me. But I can't deny I would absolutely love a win today, Guardiola's been talking quite a lot in the press conference. He's got sort of like manic vibes of Guardiola today. I actually agree with that. Someone said that to me on Twitter as well. Like, he's got the same sort of energy he has when he's been thinking about an awful lot. And I think he has, They are a very good side, And he's been talking about defending City, about being pragmatic and all this kind of stuff, and he's talked about how good Arsenal are. It's one of those things. It's one of those things where, like, you can sense like there's a bit of tension. So I'll read some of his quotes. He said, have you ever settled for a 0-0? He said, sometimes, yeah, when you play shit, sometimes it's a good result. When the opponent is better, sometimes it's a good result. He said, Mikel Arteta knows I'm not going to play for a 0-0. I know he's not going to play for a 0-0 too. I don't know if he could take it. He said, I'm sorry to be sometimes arrogant, and I want to defend my club, especially in this modern day. Like, everyone is expecting us to be just relegated, but to not to be relegated, but to disappear off the face of the earth, in the world. He's obviously been very defensive there. I don't know what that question would have been, but, he's very defensive from Manchester City, and I really love that. He said, we're so pragmatic as a team. Look at the results. We're the best team in the world being pragmatic in the numbers. You won a lot? No. Because at the end, being pragmatic, what does it mean? It's translated in results, right? I guess that was a criticism about City being pragmatic. I don't know. And he said, if we're so pragmatic, why are we winning so much? I don't know. He said, being pragmatic, there's no manager better than me. I'm sorry, but we won more. We won more being that way. So why change? It's difficult for me to change because the results are there. For money? Yeah, of course, but the results are there. I guess what he means by that is, like, if you say I'm pragmatic and I understand when to take a certain result or whatever, he's probably right to around and go, well, look, and this is what I always say to people, like, Guardiola knows best, man. There is no one in world football that knows better than Guardiola. Absolutely no one. No one. And, as Matt just said in the chat as well, Inter was perfect preparation for today. Absolutely, Arsenal, they've got a very similar sort of steely determination and technical ability to Inter. They're very similar kind of sides. Arsenal may be even more defensive and more complete, arguably. But Guardiola, look, Guardiola is very right to come out and defend his approach, the pragmatism, City's approach, because he said, after 9 years together, I believe to be against the centre-backs for a long, long time, and after they can make one transition score, I swear to God, I'd do it. I want to win desperately. I live better. Everyone's happier. Everything is much better. He said, ideal pragmatic performance. He said, from 0 to 95 minutes, the opponent has to defend in their box. This is what I want. Why? The ball is far away from Ederson. Steph and Scotty are keepers. When the ball is close to my goal, I am trembling. There's a meme for you from Guardiola. He gave loads of praise to Rico Lewis. He mentioned his height again, but he said he's a genius. He said he's really, really good. He said he's so smart. He said, ask 20 players what your position. I play holding midfielder. I play winger. Rico plays football. If you put him in one position, he knows exactly what he has to do because he's so intelligent. And I love that. That, to me, could be that he's not playing today. Usually when Guardiola bigs a player up so much, it could be that he's going to bench him. Or it could be justification for why he drops Kyle Walker today. I don't know. He said he deserves the minutes. So it's really interesting reading Guardiola's quotes today because I feel like he's massively defensive of his team. The quotes earlier on in the day as well, let me find them. Where were they? Yeah, I didn't do a preview yesterday, by the way, because I had so much on. I had such a social day yesterday. I was out quite a lot with friends, which is rare for me, so I enjoyed it. I can't find the quotes from earlier on. He talked about Phil. He said his intensity in pressing and his movements in the small pockets is one of the best in the world. So that's why we're pleased. You can imagine how pleased I am that he's back. Yeah. He talked about the players. Do you know what? There's nothing major to talk about there. Let's go on to the actual team news then, because I do feel, what's going on there? I don't know what's happened there. Why has that moved over? Let me move that back. There we go. There we go. I do feel like, we obviously... We're not sure about De Bruyne. De Bruyne is currently doubtful. Oscar Bob and Nathan Ake are definitely out. Guardiola, apparently De Bruyne has been training, so he might actually be available. I'd be amazed if he is a fit for this. We'll see, but I got a feeling he will be on the bench. Guardiola's bigged up bigup.com for my watch along later. He's bigged up Foden so much, and of course Rico Lewis about their intelligence. I feel that this game is going to be a game for those technical geniuses in the pocket, so to speak. So I think Phil will definitely play today. Arsenal, by the way, missing a few players as well. Turney, Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, Mourinho, Odegaard. Big loss for them, Odegaard, which we'll get onto in a little bit more. But yeah, I do feel it's going to be definitely that kind of game today. Let's try and build the 11. Look, it's going to be very hard to do this. Obviously, the ones that are guaranteed are these guys here. These are the ones that are guaranteed, 1 billion% guaranteed to play. Rodri is going to play. Haaland is going to play. Guardiola is going to play left back. Ederson is going to play. I think it'll be this as well, Diaz and Akanji. I think they will play as well. I can't really see Jack Grealish not playing because Guardiola is a big fan of Jack Grealish right now. He's rating him. He's been very positive. I think Grealish is going to play. Look, the only thing... what I think Guardiola will do and what will happen is very different. If you want to know how I feel like we beat this defence... It's genius. You need individual brilliance. The answer is as simple as that. And what that comes down to is many different options. Individual brilliance can be long-range shots. So people can put it in the back of the net from 20 yards. It can be people who beat people one-on-one and take 2 or 3 people out the game through a really good dribble. It can also be individual brilliance where it's great 1-2 passes around the area. We saw that chance where he fell to Foden against Inter, where it was a little tiki-taka football and it fell to him. It's going to have to be that. We're going to have moments of magic, a little bit of trickery, a great long-range shot, someone taking the initiative. Guardiola will also still try and find the balance between brilliance and control. He'll want the control because ultimately he'll be scared of Arsenal and their brilliance going the other way, because they do have brilliance going the other way. They're not quite as creative without Odegaard, but they're still a fantastic side. I think the balance will be Grealish. Here, I can't decide at why between Doku and Savinho. I think it'll be Savinho. But Doku had a Kompany the other day and was really good on that right-hand side. And don't be surprised if you see Doku start on the right and put some crosses in. I don't know. But I do think it's going to be Grealish on the left, and potentially a winger on the right. It's going to be our winger. We'll see. I'm not sure yet. We'll get to that. Rico Lewis, I think Rico's going to get the start. I think he's earned it. I think Guardiola, once again, is going to want Rico Lewis getting up here, moving past people, and trying to sort of force the issue a little bit, So I'm going to do that. I'm going to play it this way. It could be Kyle Walker, but I've got a feeling Arsenal are going to be a lot deeper than we realise. They're going to be very content to frustrate the life out of Man City. Without Odegaard, it's going to be difficult for them. So I think it's going to be that. Rodri's going to play. Here, there's a temptation to put Bernardo, but I don't think it will be, I think Foden is going to play here, and I think it's going to be Gundogan. I've got a feeling it's going to be Gundogan, because once again, look, it could be Bernardo for the work rate, but I would argue we're going to need Gundogan's genius. There is no one better in our midfield, no one at all. Arguably Foden quite close at just appearing here for a header and getting those chances, he's got such a sense of goal. He should have scored in the last game. We know he should have. And obviously his little one-touch football around the box. Guardiola's going to be wanting these guys here to be playing these little one-touch passes with Guardiola pushing forward. Obviously let's see how we camp in their defence. It will be Rico pushing forward as well. It'll be sort of like this. Everyone will be sort of smothering that box. It could be Bernardo. I absolutely agree. And I'd be amazed if Guardiola doesn't play Bernardo Silva in a big game. Do you know what? Unfortunately, guys, I think it might be Bernardo Silva on the right. I say unfortunately because I don't think he's a winger. But I think Bernardo will probably play on the right wing, maybe. It could be that. It could be something like this, where it's all the technical players. Haaland is going to get very, 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 very few touches. But at the same time, that's fine, because if we do pepper it, look, one way of getting at it is that we need to pepper the goal with shots. And if Haaland is around here, the ball could fall to him. And look, Haaland will draw 2 or 3 people, so you need these technicians, people like Gundogan, Foden, Lewis, who would like to get forward, and Rodri pinging shots from distance. We need to smother them if we can. I don't know how we're going to do it, man, but I think it could be something like this. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if you see Savinho out here on the right beating people, or even Doku. I would guess Savinho didn't have the best performance the other day, and I think Guardiola might be tempted to leave him on the bench a little bit, because I think he showed a little bit of sort of naivety in a big game the other day where he forced it a bit and was maybe lacking a bit of end product. I don't know. It's going to be very, very hard. As for De Bruyne, look, De Bruyne could play, but I feel like his fitness isn't fully there yet, and I do suspect he'll probably come on at some point. He could play. He might be fit, but I don't think they're going to risk him, because I think actually this is more suited for Phil Foden or De Bruyne spamming crosses and shots. I don't think Kovacic is going to play, by the way. I think Kovacic will miss this one out. I just don't think we need him in this game, and he'll play the next one. I could be wrong, man. It's really hard. There's a few combinations of teams that we can go for. It's going to be very, very hard to predict, though. In terms of the opposition, let's get on to Arsenal, and how they've been playing. Look, I do feel, Arsenal, they're currently sat 5th in the table. They are a couple of they're only 2 points off the top of the table as it currently stands, 2 points behind us and Liverpool, who've obviously played a game extra. And their results so far this season have been decent, if not electric. They've been a functional Arsenal side. They did draw 0-0 away at Atalanta, and to be honest, they weren't that good at all. They were defensively they weren't miserly, but going forward, they offered very little. This is how they lined up that day. Look, that is a functional midfield. Declan Rice, Thomas Partey, Kai Havertz. There's not a lot of ingenuity there. That's not to say that they can't create chances with those players, but it is a reasonably functional Arsenal side that isn't going to... It hasn't got... Odegaard is so much better. Mourinho as well, who can't play yet. Marino has a little bit of technical ability. He can control things better. Havertz can, of course, play a pass. Partey, Rice can play passes, but they are not as creative as what Manchester City have there. And Gabriel Jesus, currently, as things stand, is a bit of a misfiring striker. Sterling, of course, is a little bit of a... He's a sort of... Yeah, he's an odd one. He's a bit of a random shout there. He's a bit of a ace in the hole for them. They've got a random player who can come on and get something to prove, and he's the kind of player that does give Manchester City problems on the counter. I think Sterling might play, for Martinelli, because I think, Arteta will be looking at Sterling and thinking he's going to be motivated for this. In terms of their predicted team, look, this is what SofaScore have gone for. They've gone for that, basically, which is basically the same team as the other day. That defensive backline of Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber, he's so solid. He's so solid. And the way Timber will go into midfield a little bit, help support the team. Then you've got the physicality, Declan Rice, Thomas Partey. It's so structured. Leandro Trossard and Bukayo Saka will work so hard. So will Gabriel Jesus. It's aggressive. And then off the bench, the options that they've got, there's who else have they got? Let's have a look at their results. On the bench, they've got the likes of Jorginho, Calafiore, Kivor. They've got Ethan Nwari. It's not the strongest bench they've currently got, They've got a few kids on the bench because they've got a few players missing. They are going to set up to frustrate. Absolutely. Because that's pretty much the only way they know how. They did beat, of course, Spurs 1-0 away. They sort of stunk that one defensively as well and did a job against Spurs. It's going to be a very interesting game. I don't know. Look, I'll go to my predictions. I am struggling with this one today. I don't know how it's going to go. It's going to be... I predicted a draw against Inter Milan, and I know a lot of people thought it was be negative there, but I felt like I was right there because I just felt how the game was going to go. We're not at our very best yet in terms of breaking down defenses because we haven't simply got to that point. That usually comes a little bit later on in the season when everyone's fully fit. The gears have been greased. We're just looking at our best. Having said that, as much as I'm in a reasonably negative headset with this, I still think we're going to win today. I feel 1-0 today. I've got a feeling Phil Foden's going to score and Etihad's going to erupt, and I feel like we're going to defend really well. I just feel negative, but also a bit glass half full. And I do feel like, I don't know, I feel like we're going to have a little bit of a statement victory. My heart is saying 1-0. My head is saying 1-1. Do not be surprised if they find a way to win. I don't know, man. I don't know. It could be a better game than we realise. It could be like a 3-2, like Carl said in the chat. I don't know. 2-1 says Matt. The Drizzway says Arsenal attack has not been that best. The defence has been good. I feel outside the box shot, 1-0 win. Yeah, maybe a Rodri goal, to roll it back a little bit. A Rodri masterclass. It's going to be absolutely crucial. I don't really know. What I do know is that this game is going to be intense. It's going to be absolutely intense. Of course, you can join me on my watch along later on bigup.com. This is the new name for TIFO, which I've been doing videos of. It's really good fun, by the way, over there. Really clean. You guys can join me as well. At any point for a sort of a live video call and have a chat with me. I'll put my headphones on and have a chat with you guys. And also, I've got a tactics board over there now, an actual tactics board to play around with, which I can't wait to see. So join me over there. Give the video a like if you are new to the channel, and I will, of course, do my match reaction later. I'll do the fan view live and all the usual stuff. For now, though, guys, I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day before the absolute horrible, tedious bus parking fest that will be Arsenal versus Manchester City later. In a bit, guys. I'll see you a few hours for my watch along. Bye-bye. Up the Blues.